Hey guys, it's Amy here with King's Crossing, and today we are going to be doing my Diagon Alley build. So let's get started. One thing I like to do when doing a big build like this, and I think I mentioned this when I did the King's Cross build, is to gather up as much stuff as I can on the front end. So whatever materials I may need or items I think that I may need for the build, get as much of that together before I start building. So this back area is where I placed my museum, specifically using it for Gringotts. Obviously, I cannot decorate the inside of the museum, so I'm doing everything I can to sort of make the outside look like Gringotts, which mostly means using as much gold and money as I can. After I finished this entire build, I realized that I actually needed more height behind that desk, and I ended up putting an antique wardrobe behind it with more gold bars on top of that, which helps create the whole idea of one of the vaults inside of Gringotts. The more I look at the back of Diagon Alley and Gringotts in general, I would love for there to be a dragon somewhere maybe back behind. I don't know, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below if you think once I get building the Forbidden Forest, if I should add a dragon back up behind Gringotts itself. I really wish we could take any of the in-game or even custom paths and get them closer to our buildings so that they would actually go underneath. I know I mentioned this in the King's Cross build, but specifically using different in-game paths to represent the different areas of London, whether it's the main London streets, King's Cross, or Diagon Alley. By using different pathing, they all have just a slightly different look to them. I wanted to use the bigger cobblestone path for Diagon Alley because that's how it's described, and that made the most sense to me. Getting all this pathing laid down so that then I can create all of my little individual shops that I'm going to be using in this build. I'm not going to have every single shop that's in Diagon Alley, but I'm going to have my favorites. So by using the stall, both of these stalls outside of the Able Sisters, I can sort of hide the outside of the Able Sisters so that it does become Madame Malkin's. Placing that bookshelf there because that is going to be where my Flourish and Blotts is, and I want to make sure that the spacing is right for the outside of Madame Malkin's. Of course, now placing the Hogwarts uniforms. As always, all of these codes will be listed in the description below. Flourish and Blotts is probably what would be my favorite store in Diagon Alley, so I wanted to make sure to give it a pretty large space. love that you can actually turn the sewing machine on and it will just keep running, which of course makes sense for a magical tailor shop, that it would just be running on its own. After moving all those bookshelves around, then having to pick it back up anyway because I needed to lay down this wood flooring for the inside of the shop. It feels like for this wizarding island build that all I do is buy books so that I can make more and more bookcases or stacks of books. using all these stalls to, like I said, create all of the different shops. And I specifically wanted the Quibbler, not just the Daily Prophet, because I really love Luna Lovegood and wanted a little nod to her here in Diagon Alley. I will probably also put a Quibbler or two in the Ravenclaw common room. So one thing that is nice about these wooden bookshelves is you can easily turn them around and then use them to create walls, to create sort of a building where you don't have a building. And I didn't need the bookshelves for each of the areas in Diagon Alley, but the ability to create additional walls is really great. The walls I'm creating here, where I'm using these bookshelves, this is where Ollivanders is going to go. You can see I have to stand a very specific way so that when I place the bookshelf, once I push it into place, that you see the back side of it and not the front side. And the Sirius black sign at the entrance of Diagon Alley, so that when you're standing outside in what is still Muggle London, you can see immediately that when you weave your way between the brick fencing, that's where you're going. You're entering Diagon Alley. I specifically wanted to use the lighter colored tables here so that the wands would show up a little bit better. They're so small and they're exactly what I would need to use. The other wands in the game don't look like the Wizarding World wands, and these do. Realizing, of course, that I probably should have placed the simple panels with the wand boxes on them before I put the furniture in Ollivanders, but alas, I did not. And then here, there's no way to get around this, but it's frustrating when you do have two different custom designs and you're trying to place the right one, and there's no way to know which is which. And you can see I just keep placing the Apothecary panels. This little area behind Ollivanders is my Apothecary shop, which maybe after Flourish and Blotts probably be my favorite place to go in Diagon Alley. And of course, I couldn't have a Diagon Alley without having a Weasley Wizard Wheezes. What's fun about this shop is I can use the most random things to put in the stalls that they would be selling because it's a joke shop. Here, I'm really trying to figure out how I want the shop to sort of be laid out. The stalls don't push against each other when they're sort of back to back like that, which I wish they would, but they don't. So I know I've said this before, but when you're doing a build like this, just play with it. What you may think is going to work ends up not working, and something else will work instead. So it's just putting it down, seeing if you can push it against something. If it doesn't, you may have to alter the build just a little bit. And so the inside of my house, at least at this point, is just set up for me to be able to build as many things as I can. I am starting to finally decorate the rooms. The inside of the two big houses on the island are going to be the inside of Hogwarts, or at least part of the inside of Hogwarts. That corner right there that I wasn't sure what to do with it or how to handle it. And I mean, in the end, barrels are great. Barrels work wonderfully in all sorts of spots. And I do end up putting a barrel sort of in that little nook, and then make some Nova lights to put on top of the barrels. So when this island is done, and I actually do have the dream address up, when you go to Weasley Wizard Wheezes, there are these little fun gifts for you on the table there. Couple of the birds for Elop's Al Emporium and Magical Menagerie. Okay, so here we are. We're going to do the walkthrough. As I said before, you're walking through that Muggle London into Diagon Alley. There's Ollivanders, and then you have Flourish and Blotts. Then the Apothecary, which I think may be my favorite in the build. Elop's, and then Weasley Wizard Wheezes, Madame Malkin's, and then we end with Gringotts. Diagon Alley is done. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe.